Aloha, you are listening to KNKR LP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is Intuitive Talk Story, and I am Michál Anna, your host, and I am excited to welcome dear friend, colleague, and returning guest, Terra Sutton.
Thank you so much, Michál. It's a joy to be here again, and I'm excited about what's about to happen.
Yay, I'm excited too. And in the framework of Intuitive Talk Story, we're just going to take a moment to kind of bring ourselves into this yummy conversation and mind-heart coherence. So we're going to take a moment to close our eyes here, if you want to join us, and just breathe into our center and ground into the earth. Connect to Source. Be aware of your connection to the God of your heart, Source, infinite love, however you like to see that. Releasing anything else, anything you've been doing in the day, anything you'll do later. Bringing ourselves fully present here now in head-heart coherence to have intuitive conversations, sourcing the flow, flowing the source. In gratitude. Mahalo nui loa ke Akua, and so it is. And with that, we just come into this framework to really deepen today. We talked a little bit about what do we want to talk about, and power came up. And so we thought we would kind of take that as a leaping point. Last show that Terra and I got together, we had a really deep discussion around discerning false light paths. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that show, highly suggest it, which leads me to share with you. You can find replays of Intuitive Talk Story on Spotify under Intuitive Talk Story, also on at Michál Anna Love YouTube channel. You'll find replays there too. So if there's a show you'd like to replay, you can always go back and listen to it. But today we want to kind of jump in to power. What is power? What do we mean when we say power? How do we give it away? How do we reclaim it? How do we take back our power? Yeah. Start us off, Terra.
All right. Well, I'm excited about this. And it also feels like this is happening. It's not just our conversation today, but it feels like this is coming up for us as a collective, us exploring this time on the planet in this massive transformational period for both the earth and all of us beings. So this is, it's happening. It's happening. I was in California recently assisting at a plant medicine journey, and the topic was power.
Ooh, perfect.
Yeah. So we got to explore that in the group before stepping into ceremony. And it was kind of just happened like a week ago. So it was a nice.
And to say that I'm the one who suggested the power topic. So what a coinky dink.
Yes. So I love the exploration, because first I think it's wise to kind of look at each one of our ideas about what power is, right? There's different kinds of power, as there's different kinds of trusts, right? So there's different kinds of power. So how do you define power?
Right. How do we define power? And I think you're right. It can be defined in many different ways. We can talk about our personal power. We can talk about the power one has in a societal level. We can talk about the power, outside sources might have on our external lives, like the powers that be, per se. We can also talk about power and true power. I mean, which to me is source power. To me, the true power is the power of God, the power of infinite source. And in my experience, part of that power of source, the whole game is about us realizing the true power and disconnecting from all the other places where we might give power away and truly run the per se. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, especially after a workshop, on some of the breakdowns of power. Let's hear it.
Well, so I think once you get through some of the other, so we live here in the three-dimensional world, here on the earth plane. So that's happening. Our physical existence is happening. And at the same time, there's so many other layers happening, as you know. And I feel that once you so we're experiencing power in all the different layers, including the power you're mentioning, which is the power of source from within. So let's just back up a little bit and say, how do people experience power? And there's a huge spectrum, right? So some people say, I experience power through physical exertion. You know that feeling you get when you're you whatever you're doing, you're dancing and dancing, you dance so much, you're just completely free and you're completely filled up with yourself, and it's beautiful, you're full, right? Or you play a sport and you're completely engaged physically, and it's a 100% engagement. So you're not limited by your mind, let's say. And that's a feeling, a kind of feeling of power. And then, of course, here we are. We're in this we're going to have fun with this today. Because here we are in the structure of culturally and societally and around the globe, in the soup of the framework of power over versus power from within. Mm-hmm. So that's happening at the same time.
Yeah. And so as you're talking, I'm thinking, there are so many ways that we can express our power or define power. Or some people think of money as power, or greed, or, control. We can abuse power. Power is a very widely abused kind of thing. So I think where I'm thinking of it, really in my purposes, is where the power, where what you have control over is yourself. So we can't control Joe Blow or what happens out there, right? Although we can influence it by speaking our truth, by speaking and standing in our so-called power. We can then, it of course, affect anything going on out there, and then we're affecting it by changing it within my framework. We're changing everything out there by changing it in here. So if we change everything in here first, and we shift the power to its true source, and we own our own power, and we understand ourselves, kind of the permaculture model of power. So in permaculture, if you're not familiar with that, that's a gardening term of zone 1. You want to grow things together and work with zone 1, and then exude out from the circular model, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. So in a zone 1 model of personal power and ownership of personal power, zone 2 becomes affected by that ownership, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. So it then exudes outward, and we become in alignment and balance. So as you know, I think of power a lot as, where are you giving it away? Like in session work, I'm thinking of it as, what are you hooking up to? Where are you putting your power? Where do you think you don't have it? Where is it getting sucked, drained, released? And how can you heal something within the self to shore up that wound, heal or patch up that hole where maybe a siphon or something is hitting that? And thinking of it in that term, how do siphons hook up to the body? What are they giving their power to? What might they be thinking they don't have power of? And then therefore we're not in ownership of our power, and so we give it away. And when we give our power away, we don't understand the fullness of what we are, and so we end up in dis-ease, sickness, trauma, ill emotions, etc., etc., etc.
Absolutely. And that's what you and I and many other health practitioners and healers run into in our practices with our people every day. And so we get a front row seat in that human condition experience, or the human experience of being here. And so, I want to hear more about that from you.
Well, to note, for anyone listening out there, just to note, both Terra and I, we don't share a lot about just the deets on the background, but we have, both of us each have over 25 plus 30 years experience or more, we won't age ourselves too much, in the, healing arts, and as practitioners, as therapists, as counsel, is, doing this deep dive work with ourselves and then, of course, with others. And we've done a lot of deep dive work together, and we do co-facilitate retreat work together at times, working with this marriage of sacred union, which is really about, owning your power and your magnetic and electrical energies, meaning your feminine, your masculine, and deciphering that and kind of understanding more about that. So, yeah, when you were talking about the bigger picture and like where we're at right now in the game and how it's so alive, I couldn't agree more that now is the time to take back your power, to know the self, to really go, what am I giving myself to? And something that's come up this week and comes up, in my own world, I have given my own power away, and I've had to change major things in my life to regain power where I may have gotten tricked or thought it was something that it wasn't. We've all can maybe relate to getting wrapped in a fantasy. There's kind of like a lot of ways that we give power away. We think it's fantasy, our desire. We just want it so badly that we override. I had a client this week who said, I had a gut feeling that I knew this was off, the situation she was in. I knew it was very off. However, I just wanted it so badly. She recognized she overrode her intuition. So right there, we do that because we want something that's desire playing its game with us, and we're giving our power to desire, let's say. For instance.
Yeah, desire is sneaky because it can come from ideas inside that sound lofty even.
Right.
You're like, oh, my highest good, my highest potential as a human is to be in service. Doesn't that sound good?
Oh, I love this one. I love this one.
And the desire to have the feedback from gaining your highest potential as a human to be in service. Anyway, this is a tricky one, really sneaky, but I just thought I'd throw it in there for fun.
I think that's really true. I was talking with someone not long ago who's older than me, who is along on the path as well, but I was feeling, and that's exactly it, a slight attachment. It's tricky because it gets back to attachments too. Like, what do we attach to? What do we think? Anything that you think that anything that makes you reach is kind of like already a pull. Like, if you think it's out, there's nothing to do necessarily, really, in truth, where that comes into kind of, we're vibration. What do we, back to that, So if we're awing in that format, we really don't want to, being of service, for instance, we don't have to want to be of service. If I am sourcing and awing, I just show up, Tara bumps her finger on the desk, and I'm just going to go, oh, what do you need? And we're going to, take care of it right now because I'm present. And being in presence in my source self, I will automatically serve. It kind of just happens. It's a natural format. You can't kind of help it. It just is happening because we care. So when we're in source connection, we don't have to want to be caring or want to be in service or want to be loving, because our natural state is to be caring.
Respond. It's not really, I think we need to, well, we're not really here to talk about service, really, but maybe a little bit. It's all part of the power.
It's all part of it.
But that, it's like, what's the real word? What's that real word when you're coming from your wholeness in that moment? It's the same thing, right? If you're coming from your power, which is from your inner power, since we've decided that we're just talking about inner power today and not about other kinds of power.
Although you can bring something up if you like.
Yeah, that moment, just like you're saying, like, oh, Tara bumps her elbow or her, what's next? Oh, it's response. It's like from your wholeness, you're responding, you're participating, you're creating, you're present and you're responding. But it's not because you're serving. Like, it's not a serving. There's something about power and service, right? That word just alone.
Well, and actually that word serve, if we really, one thing that comes up for me a lot in my journey and seems to be like something that I keep like, okay, that's here again, is the energies of hierarchy continue to come up in my world of how, and that's about power struggles, right? Power, and hierarchy wants to own power. It doesn't want to share power. The spirit of hierarchy is about power. Taking it, owning it, submitting to it, having over. There's got to be somebody on top, somebody on the bottom, and that's what serving kind of gets into. Well, I'm serving you, so am I your servant? Are we, am I, what's that going on? We get into these very convoluted roles. People use words. I remember, why do you follow me? Oh, I don't follow you. I follow myself. And then you would walk next to me. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
People say very strange things, and I've dealt with a lot of hierarchy in my past situation, so it's been a real unwinding of in my world. That's a huge one I've worked with, and so that hierarchical format sets up a lot of power struggles, and it's constant. Oh my goodness. So if you find yourself out there in any sort of hierarchical situation where you're struggling for your power, then the next thought is, why am I here? And what does my mother-father wounding look like? What's my relationship with my mother? What's my relationship with my father? And who am I playing this out with right now? Because most likely when we have somebody really close to us in our life that is dealing in massive hierarchy, we're probably trying to heal something from our childhood experience. Either heal a parent because of their own wounding, a lot of times, right? I found that not only was I doing my journey because of my father wounding, but of my own father's wounding. Like he himself, I ended up calling in what he had almost experienced himself in certain ways, like trying to heal it through the lineage. So this is to remind us all, we're healing. When you're experiencing things, you're experiencing them from way far back. It might not just be yours. It's stuff through the lineage, right? So if we learn more about where we come from, then we understand more about, why does that stuff keep coming up in my life? Because it came up in my uncle's life and my grandfather's life and so-and-so's life. So then we can trace that we get to stop and reclaim the power of whatever that was, and that betrayal, that jealousy, that abuse, that hierarchy, whatever it has been. There was definitely abuse in my lineage. There was, betrayals. There was abuse of power there that I've gotten to experience in many ways in my own journey. And because I didn't understand you could go in and do it like this and you could just change it. So I went and lived a lot of those. And so you can shift that though in other ways when we start calling out the true essence, when we recognize the power, recognize what we're giving away, and then do reclamation work with our inner self, our inner child, to claim that.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that in. I mean, it's such a powerful part of our lives, whether we're aware of that or not, how impactful those power giveaways, are not only from our lived experience in this life, but from our heritage, from our ancestors. Just by coming through some other human beings, we take on some of the lineage and some of that, the story, and we go along with that story for some reason. Like that's just part of our deal this time. And not only that, but we also have a whole host of other giveaways and beliefs and story that we brought in on our soul imprint kind of level. And so, cheers to all of us who are taking the leap and arriving here at this time, because we really have an opportunity now to kind of, like you're saying, Michál, just stop sometimes and just say, where is this coming from? Like, what is this inside of me? What is this? Ooh, I really want to do this thing. And it really means a lot to me. Or this thing is really upsetting me. Like this low-hanging fruit, politics, right? That's lowest hanging fruit. It's so easy to be upset about that. Why is it so disturbing to us? That's actually a power giveaway on a very basic level. Yeah, so-and-so is so, and you repeat that to yourself every day, maybe 100 times. And every little tiny moment, you're actually giving away your power, and you don't even realize that, wow, that's a story I might have about myself, and maybe my ancestor had about his self, and we're borrowing all of these stories so that we live a limited life. And that's why we are here today to talk about it and kind of explore, where do you feel the power inside of you? And what are the pieces that we can soften and let go so that actually we can connect to a deeper part of ourself, straight to what I call my essence. So essence maybe is like one layer away from source. So we're all source. We all come from source or God or whatever you want to call it. Then there's kind of like layers of, and this is my perception at least, layers of how we come to be in our shapes and forms, right? So we're shapes and forms of all of creation and source. But how we do that is kind of we come, and eventually, like, I'm Terra and I have my own body, and you're Michál and you have your own body, and we have our own stories and all those. Okay, no, I'm going down the rabbit hole, right? But you want to take it on from here?
Well, so when you're speaking there, I was thinking of the power of love and the love of power, and knowing the difference, because I myself, what I was a really eye-opening, as a spirit, as a soul, as a being in this lifetime, and it took me a long time to get, like most of the time I've been here so far, was that I didn't really realize how many people were really had a love of power versus a power of love. I was a source girl since I was little, so I came in with God, and I've always loved God since I was a child. I've always loved since I was a child, and I'm grateful to have had loving people in my life who loved me. My grandparents, my mother, my father. I mean, my dad and I have had our things, but he loved me, you know. But so I always had love in my life, and I'm very grateful for that. And I have a lot of compassion for anyone out there who has not always had love in your life at a foundational level, because it becomes very difficult, and it can off what I've seen, observed in many of the work I've done, is a lot of folks who have not had a lot of love, well, any of us, but it can be harder to draw into the power of love. It can feel more like the love of power, because, well, the power of love wasn't there presently, so you think power is the way to go. And that's a twist. And using power to get things, if you're using anything to get anything, then you're working in a power paradigm that's the love of power, not the power of love. We want to walk in the power of love. We want to walk in the fullness of our yummy whole hearts, radiating our truth. I was mistaken in my own life, thinking that many other beings I was radiating with were there for the same reasons as me. I thought they too were wanting the love to be in the power of love, that they wanted to love and to have truth and connection. They were coming from those places. I didn't understand that they were looking to fulfill desires and places of power. That wasn't why I was there. I didn't get that because I'm a little naive in myself, even though I'm very worldly at the same time. And so it was a big soul lesson, because I also didn't realize how much I felt as an empathic being. I didn't realize how deeply I felt, and how I guess I thought that my feeling and others' feelings were closer in experience. I didn't realize that other people weren't having, well, anything near that experience.
Well, now that you're in the place where you are and you have the experience that you do have, how do you now feel about the people like that you're referencing, that you were talking about, that didn't experience the power of love but were acting out of a desire for power, and I would say power over? If you now, as yourself now, look at those people, do you feel like they have a desire for power of love ultimately?
Well, I can't speak to each of those beings on a personal level, so I don't have no idea what they want or think or feel. So I can't speak to that. But I would say that I think all beings are ultimately looking for love. And ultimately, any child, that's why, again, back to the compassion, is we're all just children trying to heal our wounds, and that's a child. I do recognize that in forgiveness of all that's transpired against myself, I recognize that the beings I've dealt with, and one in particular, a couple in particular, they're, were children. They're children that have been horrifically hurt and are stuck somewhere in a framework. And that's why we want to do the work, so we can unstuck ourselves. We can find our little boy, little girl who's stuck somewhere, who wasn't treated well, who wasn't taught love, and we can find them and hold them to ourselves and bring them into the power of love. But that's an inside job. Back to, no one can do that for you. I've tried to do that for somebody. It doesn't work. We have to do it for ourselves. We have to really choose to, walk. And that, of course, was my trying to save someone. That's my own, like, I'm going to save somebody, right? Was my attachment to a fantasy, or to we'll get there, it'll be amazing, and then it's gonna be the great dream. So that's my own attachment to some story, to some fantasy, which drew me and continued me giving away my own power, giving and giving my power, and giving and giving and giving, which is a nonstop situation. It's amazing what happens when you take your power back, when you heal. In essence, it's a healing. When we heal and see, why did I give it away? Because I didn't think I was good enough. Because I didn't think I was worthy. Because I thought that nobody loved me. Because I thought, this or that, right? We have different stories. But once we realize that, and we go to our little child, for me, I went with my child many ways and many times. And there was one specific one on that last one for me, of many different ones, but grabbing a piece that was like, it came back to myself of like, wow, it had not been here. And now it is. And I don't need to do this anymore, because I know who I am. And it was a visceral feeling. And so
when you're talking about, like, I know what you're talking about. I grabbed a piece, and reclaimed that piece for myself. Say a little bit more about that for the listeners, just so we have a sense of what does that mean? Like,
yeah,
give us an example of.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I went into meditation, which means, what does that mean? That means I sat down and I closed my eyes, and I just went inside myself, and I asked myself, like, let me vision with myself. Hey, and I said, little me, I want to have a fire with you in my heart. And I actually went into my heart, and I built like a little heart fire. And I sat across from my little self, and I looked at my little self, and I asked her to show me, what had I missed with my father? What did I not see yet? What have I not healed still, that I am still finding myself in this predicament, in this story, in this format? And I felt the music. I saw him playing guitar, and I saw him playing the flute, and then I felt the music, and I felt the music, and I felt the music. I am the music. And I saw myself killed, actually, like, my throat cut, and I saw this light taken through the ethers and stolen, basically, from my being. And that's a whole nother story, but I do know where that was from. But at any rate, I found the light. I traced the light, like, saw it in a container, a crate underneath the ground. I pulled it out of there. This gets into dimensional stuff, what I'm telling you right now, which means I'm literally traveling in dimensional format, like through the astral body per se, and I'm taking this piece, and I cleanse it through the light. And have it be cleansed and renewed, release any gunk that's just stuck to it. You got to make sure you do that. And then I bring it back to myself. So then I brought it back to myself, and it came into my being like it's like a retrieval of, like, like you had a finger gone, and now you have a finger back. Like, wow, that feels really cool. And it can feel like that, or it can feel subtle, or it can just feel, all different ways. So that particular piece for me, in bringing that back in, I had the strength to own my own power again and realize I had really been giving it away at a pretty heavy rate. So chasing what I thought would bring me, service. I thought if I did my job and if I did the right thing and I was, held space enough and I did, that I would get the prize per se. And that's, that was my own continual carrot dangling, the carrot that keeps you going for the thing. But and there's just one more show and there's just one more thing and there's just one more of everything. And so the carrot will keep you on the treadmill. I've been on the treadmill. I know what it feels like to be on it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, so just so all of our listeners know, that process can be more simplified than that a little bit. But it was, we could actually just talk about that for an entire, your experience of that and how that really works. But I think for today, the reminder is, I'm hearing, is like, we all have trauma in our past. And through trauma, there's moments that parts of us are parsed out, or maybe we don't have all of our power, like we're saying, and we're reclaiming pieces of ourselves. So in a general way, we can all say that reclaiming, whether it's a feeling of self or a part of our dimensional being or whatever we're saying, is that we're bringing that cultivating that relationship of ourselves and bringing the power back into ourself and our relationship with ourself, versus going to our exterior and saying, well, if I have that, then I know I'm powerful. And if I win this, then I know I'm good. If I do that, then I know I'm worthy. And then if so-and-so does this with me, I know I'm loved. Right. So instead of all of those things, most people say a version of those things to themselves every day, like, oh, or they can go the other way. It's all the same thing. Oh, I'm not good enough for that. Or like, oh, I really love that person, but that person would never be with me because I'm just me, or whatever. There's a million things we say. And all those little micro moments. And just back to low-hanging fruit, even political, right? You say, oh, so-and-so's such a jerk, or the so-and-so, I'm not going to make it, the so-and-so party is awful, right? If that's our tape, and we come back and you catch yourself saying, or I catch myself saying the same kind of thing on the daily basis, that's an opportunity for me to go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I've heard that tape before of myself. How do I feel when I say that thing? Am I coming from my wholeness? Is there some part of me that's not feeling loved, not being whole at this moment in order to come back to that same loop again, right?
Absolutely. And that brings like kind of another wider angle from that. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about whatever, is that all beings who, I mean, I could think it like the politics is a big one for people out there. It's not for me. Let's say the narcissist would be more or the hierarchical thing would be more mine. Like, what's my thing? Like, oh, the hierarchy, I don't like dealing with it. And,
right.
So what I have to do, if you're thinking in those terms, I would say for myself, like the forgiveness. Forgiveness is key. We have to all forgive our oppressors. I mean, I forgive those who have oppressed me. I forgive them. They know not what they do, but it's because I understand the wider angle. And so like the stuff I just told you, well, there's separated energies at play. People give their power away as children to other energies. You're not just dealing with one soul. You're dealing with most people are running 5 to 7 programs at a time. And those programs are based on giveaways, what Terra was just saying. All the ones she just mentioned are, in essence, programs. Like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. They're a program that gets set in by one of these power giveaways that we're talking about, which is usually an emotional moment or somebody does something that there's pain. There's some sort of hurt or insult or betrayal, etc. Many different things, abuse. So with all those, either if it's a great pain, a child might fragment, your soul fragments with pain. This is why when children are abused or you're abandoned, there's fragmentation that takes place. And what are we trying to do? Big picture, unify, because we've been fragmented. And this fragmented is a power leak. So we fragment and we give power away. And the energies that are separated from source feed on the power that we give away. And that's how this whole artificial game works. It works on the power that the infinite human, God, source, divine, Christic beings have breathing, living, loving hearts, and you are an infinite source of light and battery power. You literally are power. And so, well, your electricity, all those things, and the separated energies feed on that energy. So wherever they can get us to believe we're not enough, or that we can't do something, or that we're silly or stupid or small or anything, anytime we buy into not feeling good about ourselves on any level, about any topic, we are giving our power away to something, because our natural inherent state as human beings is to feel good, actually.
Mm-hmm. I would say our natural state is to be in ecstatic presence of coherent heart, creativity, awesomeness.
That's a lot of cool words. But if you just feel good, if you're just like, you might not always feel ecstatic, because like true, just it feels like that, right? Like imagine you're just a square of divine, or like a cube of quartz. This is like shining the sun. And you could hit it with anything. It won't change. It won't move. It just, try to break it. Won't. It can't be broken. It's the infinite source, living light, the infinite sun, the sunshine that lives inside of you is the sun of all things. And that is just, sometimes I'd be really happy, but just, hey, just, is sometimes enough, right? When we're feeling angst, if we're feeling all these kind of weird feelings, we're plugged into something, right?
Right. So then that's when we stop, literally. We can just stop and
go within.
Like you were saying. Yeah, go within. And I mean, I think there's kind of a little process too, right? Slightly. Let's do the take-home process today. The first step is stop what you're doing. First recognize, there's something that doesn't feel, I don't feel right now.
Yeah, something's off.
Something's off. So you can just stop and go, I'm going to meditate, which means just get comfortable, close your eyes.
Maybe put your hands on your body and your heart, your stomach. I love doing that.
Yeah, that's a really nice, like you get a little somatic, little nudge to come back into body. And and then maybe ask, what is it that I need to let go of in this moment? What is it that what is it that I can let go of in this moment to come back into my wholeness? And then when the answer comes, do it. You go, there's a piece here. Okay, I return it back to the infinite with unconditional love. Something like that as a starting piece.
Mm-hmm. I would add to that, you might not know in the moment. So it can be a little tricky if you're not versed in asking yourself, etc. I like just cut cords. Just cut all cords to anything that's not mine. Anything that doesn't belong to me, just cut it, release it, help me. Release what I don't know and just sever that stuff so I can see what Terra's saying, so I can actually get that wisdom that maybe is out of my reach right now.
Great. That was a great first step. Yes. Yeah. And just the intention of that, you'll feel the shift inside of yourself. Just with that pure intention, when you can collect yourself, put your hands on your body, close your eyes, go within. Release, intend to release anything
and I love
that
making
doesn't
noises.
serve. Oh yeah,
Make
let
noises.
it out.
Let it out. Blah, 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 whatever you need to do. Shoo. Make sounds. I encourage people a lot to go sha, shoo, hoo, whoo, wah. Do a lot of sounds. I make a lot of sounds in my work, and because we are vibration. So we're all vibration, and you're creating vibration with your mouth, with your sounds. It's the most amazing instrument each of us has to shift and to move things. Sound is the true healer. And I think we're learning more and more about that in this time frame. It's really fun to sound is becoming understood to be
science is catching up.
Science
let's
is
just
catching
say.
up. Yeah, science is
Finally.
catching up. They're starting to catch up and realize we can shift with sound. And so you can shift with sound and reclaim your power. We can each reclaim our power. And I have to say, I've been through a lot of my own power games. I've gone all the way to the bottom and back. And now, in reclamation of power, I am just so grateful every day for the freedom and the understanding of knowing the self and what it means to be on the path, like understanding and living and experiencing joy and owning our power in all capacities, not giving it to fantasies. It feels really good. And it is attainable. Like there's the lie I hear out there. Well, it'll take your whole life to get through that. It's a life's work. It's
No.
not. It's not your life's work to be in pain. It's your work to get through that, to heal your trauma, to like we've all gone through, or not, maybe not all, but we all, in some form, we all have experienced traumas on some level. And I've said before, if we just all agreed on that and said that out loud, then we would, call out the pink elephant in the room, and it would be a dinner table conversation, and when we just heal it quickly, because it's not a secret. And things often have power because we keep them hidden. And now I want to bring that up because the dark loves to hide. It loves the shadows. It loves the secrets. It loves, shh, don't tell Tara. If somebody came in right now, if the dark was here, like walking, I'm telling Tara something, someone walks in the door, like, Tara, and I go, shh, never mind. Hi, so-and-so. How you doing? Like that person all of a sudden is going to have a seed of doubt planted into their head, thinking Tara and I are talking about her or them because we don't want to talk in front of them. Shh, shh, it's our own secret. That I've seen this happen a lot. And then seeds of doubt get planted, and that's a way a seed of doubt gets planted, and then they go off and think that person doesn't like me, and then they start to do something weird. And then they do something weird because everyone's taking their little innuendos in their head, and they don't tell each other. They just start making up stories. And then they take those stories and create stuff out of them. And that gets really ugly.
Well, so then we're back to the framework of power over versus inner power,
Exactly.
right? So that's
how power overworks.
Right. So you, me, and everybody, it's a good time to, when we use the word power or feel the word power, really identify before we use it, what kind of power are we talking about? And I think that's what's really interesting as a global shift, I think right now, the conversation, why it's coming up all over the place is because we're examining that moment. We get to back up and not just use the word power flagrantly. We can stop and say, oh, what actually am I talking about? What is this? What am I referencing? What kind of power? Is it personal power? Is it the system of power over? Is it physical power, the exalted physical power? Like, what power are we? We even have the opportunity to have these little moments inside of ourselves that says, oh, I said I was going to do X and I did it. I didn't, or I overcame something that was very difficult for me. And I said I wanted to overcome that, and I've accomplished it. That's I have done something for myself. And there's a little bit of
reclamation.
It's reclamation. And that feeling of reclamation is like, yes, yes. And you cultivate that inside of yourself. And that's you building and cultivating inner power. I think it's part of it.
Sure. And the more we connect with and back to the inner child, because I'm kind of thinking of a client I had this week that power was given. I saw her in a dollhouse. She had literally given a part of her heart to Ken and Barbie. It was sitting in a dollhouse. And I of course am thinking, is this true? Am I seeing correctly? Did you play a lot of dolls? Yes, I did. And she confirmed that she had very much had this fantasy with that was my dream life, that Barbie and Ken would have the life, and this would be my life, and I'd have a relationship just like Barbie and Ken, all of that. So she got fairly duped by a situation with a man who was very much in the power game, and long story. And at the same time, bottom line, it was fantasy that got her there. And she overrode, that was Pro saying, she overrode her intuition. She knew better in her gut, but the fantasy was really loud. It had part of her heart in that little fantasy. Literally, her heart was sitting in her dollhouse. Okay, so this is an example of how it's multidimensional. That means that she left it there as a little girl. She's maybe 7 or 8 years old. She put it in there at 8. It's still there, so she's still running it all the time, because time is not it's not a linear, it's a location. So what you're doing with your inner self is you're going back to that time, like we had to go back to the dollhouse and get the heart out of the dollhouse, bring it back to her now. So that gives you another like visual of, like, oh, how does that work? Oh, I see. I might have actually given my own power to an idea when I was a child. And that idea is in running me in my life, you see. So I'm going to let you think about that for a moment while we take a quick station break. And we'll be right back with more Intuitive Talk Story.
Did you know that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America? Whether you're 8 or 80, pickleball is easy to learn. Join this exciting Kohala pickleball group. Come on down to the Cam Park Gym Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. It's fun, it's social, and it's kind of addicting. We play on small courts with a wooden racket and a wiffle ball. All the equipment is provided. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Cam Park Gym.
Boys to Men is a local mentoring program that serves the boys in our communities. We help the boys to become the men they want to be and the men our families and communities need. We are seeking mentors for our group mentoring programs at Kohala High and middle schools. The only experience needed is life experience. The commitment is an hour, 1 day a month with the boys. Boys to Men provides free training for mentors and a stipend for each weekly group. You can also support us as a board member or volunteer. Contact Steve Evans for more information at 808-987-0121 or visit us at b2mhawaii.org.
Teach your children well of their father's help. Did slowly.
Aloha and welcome back to Intuitive Talk Story. You're listening to KNKR-LP 96.1 FM Kohala. I'm Michál Anna, and I'm having a lovely conversation with Terra Sutton about power giveaways, how we give our power away, how we reclaim it. We were just talking about fantasies. Did you out there think of anything you've been giving your power to? What did I maybe sign up for long ago that I don't know about? And how can I get it back? So claiming it in yourself. Back to that cutting cords and just asking and affirming we are all powerful beings. So I want to just impart now that we are in charge of our own game. So claiming to yourself daily, I'm in charge of this thing. I'm in charge of this temple. This is my temple, my body, my vehicle that I get to roll in for this whole journey, and I have full authority of it, is a really easy, great way to start the game, is just claim authority of your own beautiful vessel and ask to be connected to the God of your heart and to the earth.
Hallelujah. And then once you have claimed that, and we have to do it again and again, we actually have to reclaim every morning when we wake up. And then I'd say the next part is once we reclaim our body, reclaim ourselves, and we've gone through the process of letting go of things that don't serve us, or maybe other people's things, or maybe, it gets wild after that, what we're letting go of. and releasing out of our systems. But then we get to explore the relationship and the cultivation of our inner power and our inner self and our essence. And then eventually, I think for me, the process is that becomes so full in ourselves that it's a natural process of just being alive, and we're naturally in our power.
Absolutely. But gosh, it took a lot to get there. So I mean, I feel that way now, but there were so many times I didn't feel that way in the game.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're saying is that but it gets easier. And I love that Tara just brought that in, that it becomes a natural feeling. Like you no longer are trying to like remember to brush your teeth per se, right? You just brush your teeth, right? They become things like that. Things become ingrained in your life as you just make them part of your life, as you own them to yourself. And then you make new neural pathways. You create new routines, new places new thought patterns, new things in your grooving neurons. Now you're doing true healing. So that body, mind, spirit is always applicable in that you have to do the whole three. It's like, you can't, if you lift a triangle up a stick and you only do one side, those other two sides aren't going to go, right? You're going to go, you have to move the triangle all together up the stick. So body, mind, spirit. So we're stocking our mind and making new choices. Like if, I was living by a fantasy, or, I wanted to give my power away, or I didn't think I was good enough. I love mantras. They're, they're codes, really. Codes to reclaim your life, to program in the new stuff. So I am worthy of unconditional love, one of my all-time favorites. I am worthy of unconditional love. I love unconditionally. I am loved unconditionally. Just everyone feel that for a second. If each and every one of us could truly feel I'm worthy of unconditional love, I love unconditionally, and I am loved unconditionally. If we each just did that, imagine the world we would live in.
And then eventually just, I am unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And
then back to that. And then you're which is the goal for each of us in this earth experience, is to remember that.
Yeah. So I also I know we have a few more minutes here. And just a recall of all the layers of what it takes to do what we're saying. Like you and I have both been in the work for a long, long time. And I'd say I've let go of many, many layers and stories of my own. And I came back from California last week and came to you for a session. And it was such a beautiful memory for me to have. Well, first of all, you're so radically talented, and I just appreciate your work so much. But seeing this one little piece, we haven't talked about this yet, but this one piece, I was like, it's my neck that hurts, right? And then Michál's like, deep magic. And she's like, how about this piece? How about this? Okay, let's move it. Listen. And one of the pieces was, it actually came into desire. Like there was a story and there was a desire, and really, I really sunk into it after the session too. And I thought, okay, what if I'm not reaching for anything? Because there's actually a lot of really interesting things happening in my life right now, and I'm kind of excited about them and all the different areas. And so, but even that, there's one area that I was kind of like fully excited about. And then I realized, mixed in with the excitement, I had a little bit of a desire and a fear. And and part of that is like, I'm going to California. I'm going to be part of a speaker group, just I'm holding energy in a wealth conference, and I get to lead one of the dinner conversations. And so that alone is very exciting to me, but there was a little desire in that, like the fear and desire. It's like they had a little party, the fear and desire, like, oh God, I'm going to step into this room of, it's a in my mind, because it's a wealth management conference, it's a room of people that have wealth, and this is a significant place I can possibly make an impact, right? And so there's that like, how's it going to go? There's pressure, there's fear, there's excitement, and all the pieces, but it really, there's like down to like desire. And there's if you could break it down a little bit, I got to that place where it's like, oh, there's some meaning I gave it, like, oh, if I can make an impact in this world, with these people, it will be meaningful, and that's a story. Instead of really staying in my heart, in my body, in my being, I was like, and I'm saying that this is why sometimes it's tricky. It's like, oh no, that's just excitement, because you're actually unfolding into the being that you knew you were going to be making impact in the world. You knew that. It's been going on, but now it's happening. And to just be able to recognize even the really fine-tuned little sneaky ones that are like, no, that's exciting. No, actually, when I left it all away, I felt so different inside, and like, oh, I can just be. And that material that I'm supposed to share with these people, like, how do I relate to wealth management? And then I woke up this morning, and I was like, I got it. I have it. I know exactly, because I let go of the ideas.
Right. Yes. It's, it's kind of like they say, when people are stuck on something. Did you watch that movie? What is that? Men in Black. And one of that, he goes, let's go have pie. Because when you go have pie, then you're just not thinking of it, and then the brilliant idea comes. So to take your mind off of something, and then, aha, ding, 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 there comes the brilliant gold, because you're no longer attached to it. You're no longer focalizing that I need this, I need to be. And we do that. We attach. And our attachment to desire, our attachment to what our fantasies, our attachment is what keeps us. And, I love the Buddhists say, attachment is a root of all suffering, right? So that is, all of it is coming into a place of neutrality, of into our 0 point where we're not reaching for anything. I love that you brought forth that story, and that that you worked with that material, these few days, and it found even greater morsels and connectors of where that was coming from, so you could dig up the rest from the root and pull it out and let your experience be a crystal clear experience with no threads wrapped around any piece of it. Because in my experience too, I've done a lot of beautiful things. They were beautiful, but there was a lot of threads wrapped around things inside of what I was doing, and that was the problem, not the stuff. I mean, I put on a lot of great events. I've done lots of things, but these little things you're talking about were like little threads still wrapped in stuff. And now I've just been like, I just went, poosh, I'm getting rid of all of it, just zero it all out. And then what do I really want to do? What is really alive? Where do I really want to put my energy? I don't want to put it anywhere willy-nilly. I want to be mindful in all capacities of what I'm giving to, why. What's my motivator? Am I doing anything out of need? Is this a need, a want, a desire, or is it just a blessing? Or is it just the awe? Am I just coming from my awe? Checking ourselves, right? We check ourselves. Where am I today? Show me the way. Let I always be open to receive constructive, feedback around my own self and with myself, right? And continue to do that every single day. We're here. And until we're gone from the earth game, honestly, we're here learning. We're just here learning, growing. We're teaching, we're experiencing, we're learning. Teaching, learning. We're all students, we're all teachers. We're just doing that continually until we go. And then the goal is to become whole and own our power, and then be
consciously.
Consciously decide where you're going, when you're going there, why you're doing it, and where you're going when you leave here.
Yeah. So today's the meditation of just stopping, because all of us are running something all the time usually. We just stop, bring it back into self and source, and breathe.
Yes.
And give yourself a big hug. It's not easy being human. It never was. And it's okay if it's hard. It's okay if we We fear things, but we can always, no matter what, come back to ourself and come back to our inner guidance and come back to our breath is the most simple, right? Come back to our breath.
And forgive all that
Forgive.
we've done and all that anyone's done to us. It's all
Yes.
just part of the game, the awakening, and the reclamation of our true selves.
And feel what it feels like when you forgive. Forgive yourself, forgive others. Feel inside your body what that feels like to forgive. It's for giving yourself wholeness. It's not forgetting any ills. It's forgiving yourself your own wholeness back.
Thank you. And with that, we are at the top of the hour. And it's just such a pleasure always to converse and have you on the show, Terra. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for listening. And we will be back again with Intuitive Talk Story. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Go forth and be powerful. And the power of love.
Enjoy your power.
Aloha.